Hey guys, this is Rurouni K95 here, and once again, time for another anime review. Today's anime review, because we already take a look back on reviewing the first season, because I'm going into more details of how I'm going to get into reviewing another anime, especially the ones with Season 2 I wanted. Like a basic one, until I can revisit the anime again on Anime Retrospect in the nearest future for the most part as well. Yep. Which we'll get them planned for in the nearest future. That's why. Yeah, so today's anime we're going to be reviewing, which we have, because it's something brand new, which is something that I forgot to review, which is something I should have done. Although I have been busy with a lot of other videos as well lately from what I... Sorry about the camera. Isn't that it? Oh, sorry about the camera. Anyways, enough of that. Today's anime review, we're going to do reviewing an anime series that has a season 2, which is on my backlog in the past, which I'm going to be reviewing for today's anime review is Beastars Season 2. And yes, so last time we already take a look back on reviewing the first season of Beastars in the past. Now it's the time I'm going to do a review on Beastars Season 2 for the first time. Because, well, why not? That is something new, though, which is ones that after I finish watching, though, from what I understand of how I'm giving in the plot points as well. Because there's going to be a lot of differences as well. So, without any further ado, which is right here, right now, this is Beastars Season 2. So, the story we're going to get into on Beastars Season 2. Season 2 of Beastars starts off where it gets to the parts where we were left off on after the first season of Beastars, where Louis has been missing for almost 2 months. Especially the murders has been unsolved. Legoshi's relationship with Haru, especially how we get to. In the first episode is where we get more how it's responsible for the killing them. We see Jack wandering the halls at night, where he hears a noise when he stops and notices where it can be labeled when rolled to his feet from the lecture hall, where he has perished beyond the crack in the doors, where we see a glimpse at a vortex of ice spinning about, which nearly how it freaks Jack out, causing him to run off and naturally tells his classmates. The next day, when they seem reluctant of how they believe in him, after they were discussing the rumors about ghosts and Louis' sudden disappearance, they all, which is almost not in a good way, they all became a little bit more engaged with this tale, and the credence among the students only increases after 2 more students encountered the phenomenon on this episode of Beastars Season 2. Where it's obvious of how the creature is a snake. As well, we get to with all these animals. This wasn't long until Louis finally returns later in the episode, where he turns in his resignation letter, and to the point where he and Legoshi have essentially switched places, with Louis now basking in the dark, fighting in his own path of how he was getting back to the main plot of how the episode that the ghost that's freaking everyone out, seemingly messing Legoshi, and even ends up encountering him, but only, of course, at the end of the episode. This isn't how is expect of how this happened. In the next episode, where Legoshi encounters, but instead there's an impassioned speech from Cherokee headmaster about why they hadn't chosen a Beastar in nearly 5 years, which they have come up with if they ever decided about if they ever want to, especially on the pressures of how this comes with that. and he doesn't just want to force a student wanted to become a hero. With every criticism, as point out, if a student was devoured in the prep, it's just enjoying their school life, just to put other students in danger. Now we get to see the snake reveal, and that is basically the boy, especially what we're talking about. The large snake is revealed. Rokome, the sole security guard of the school, who professes that they're a fan of Lego She as well. The fact is that some of them have been able to unable to track down Tim's killer when they request his assistance. Lego She accepted when he fights to resolve to find the killer to bring them to justice. When by this time, of course, Louis finds his resolve in taking advantage of Lego She, or in the advantage of Leo Groove or any carnivores in general, in an attempt to redefine how the world views herbivores and carnivores. As the third episode progresses, where we get more insight of where Louis became the leader of the Leo group, and is that how it sort of happened when he was prepared to either be eaten or to kill himself. Obviously, none of those happened. Disturbingly enough, where we get to see him eat meat as a sort of hazing from the lions. What is up with herbivores eating meat and becoming a carnivore? That is the question, though. But that was pretty messed up. At this point, Lego She deals with more with his relationship with Haru problems, and decides if he wants to protect her from a distance while losing thoughts about the path of when he's taken, about how we see a giant figure behind him in the final scene. Especially in the fourth episode, where he was getting battered and kidnapped by whom he suspects the killer with the brute strength of the assailant being painful and clear. And Lego She realized he needed to go away for a while in order to get more stronger. The next time when he encounters them, he'd be sure he would have almost gotten injured or hurt or killed in any in between. When he heads off to the dark market, when he requests that Gohan teach him how to fight the giant panda, but he refused. When he eventually comes around as what else goes on, where we see a strip club in Beastars as well. There's more eating lions from Louis Gray. All really messed up happens in Beastars. If there's compassion from one of the lions, in the next episode of Beastars Season 2, where there's a large amount of Juno talking to Louis that never really felt like it's almost amounted too much throughout the rest of Season 2. It perhaps builds up something more potentially for the later on in the story progresses. So Lego She returns to his Cherryton with a new look. When he was almost how it changed him in his way. When he needed to order to get that training from Gohan, when his training is, you ask him, well, it's resisting to urge to eat a big thing of meat when he's locked away. Brutal stuff, how it's happened back in the school. Lego She is tormented by an underclassman named Pina, who is actually from the previous episode, which is notable in ways of how they mention him throughout, if he does play a major role in the story of how this progresses for the role of what you see in Beastars, of how this character, Pina, is almost antagonistic of nearly the entire cast, of how it remains true for the rest of his appearances. So Pina is basically how it has a lot to do what you see in this. And also, Louis comes on and he guesses of how he doesn't want to go to school when he doesn't think you should be pulling guns on anyone, whether it's either a killer or any criminal in between. At this point, of course, where he was getting a bit more of the same, where Leo group stuff, how it's tracking Legoshi down on the Temp's killer, although Legoshi is a bit more compelling when he was trying to figure out how he can fight by checking out Juno's teeth, especially in the mouth. How a female wolf's teeth, of how he notices, like, how does he do that? How is he gonna figure out? Clearly, if he nearly fought someone that was neither a woman and more likely not a wolf, how it's almost in a weird way. By this point, this time, of course, Legoshi gives a burial for all the meat he's trained within the dark market when he proposes to Haru out of the blue. But it all gets rejected. He also has to realize in the game of a tug of war that he's gotten weaker and giving him a lot of conflicts, which progresses him that he supposedly may, when he can speed things up a bit, of how he can get into the real meat and potatoes of these as well. There's a huge shout out to the Anteater, just straight up gets his arm ripped off in this scene, which it almost caught off guard, as it's intended, than any other, how it's in a mixture of craziness, scary, and it's even a little more comedic, funnier in a way. But this in the process of how what you see happening in season 2 of Beastars, quite frankly, he was taking that to the nurse, where we have Legoshi being helped by the fellow clubmate named Riz, who is a gigantic bear character, as they deliver the disarmed Anteater, when Legoshi got straight out, confronts the bear about being the one that ate Temp. When the music builds up a confrontation, superb in its own certain ways, that you expect hearing than any other anime as well. As well as Pina comes through with his Sarmy attitude, surprisingly diffuses the situation, how we get to see when Riz becomes of his gigantic stature, where he has to take the muscle atrophy pills because of how dangerous he'd be without those pills, causing him severe side effects in its own way. To cure this is honey. It's firmly enough, is honey. This ties in of how he ends up murdering Tim, especially. When they became close, the friendship made him feel like he no longer needed medication when he goes crazy and ends up eating Tim in the process of what he thought of becoming as close as you could see if someone's having them in a part of you. Well, that was chaotic. When Legoshi continues his training and Louis falls farther into the underworld of society, the two actually have the chance they meet again, which Legoshi fears that the Leo group has corrupted his senpai, but the reality is basically he ultimately chooses the path for himself in this goodbye to Louis, when he let him know if he could find Tim's killer, that his strength and nobility, if he needs to intend it, as his tension grows, as Riz purposely tries to aggravate Legoshi, nearly how it's currently in the stalemate, steadily approaching to the climax where we see the minor relationship dramas with Legoshi and Haru. But there's more importantly where you get Riz's threat to Pina, that both he and Legoshi becoming issues for him if they continue to defile his friendship with how it seems as well on the other side of the story, how it happens in season 2 of Beastars. Ibuki tells one of his subordinates to kill him if he turns on the boss. Just real solid tensions of how every angle, how it seems, and how it's going on. There's a little confrontation fight between Legoshi and Riz, how this goes on in the story of how this wants to know, of how you expect seeing in Beastars. When he sees in this episode, during the final showdown, where he sees a real psychedelic trip, when he eats a bug apparently, which causes, this wasn't human-like in the world. When there is an inner conflict, what Legoshi desires to eat those meat, when he's trying to eat a bug that has filled him with regrets of hallucination moth, which makes him feel better on these types of transgressions. Once Legoshi has awoken from his trip, his fur grows back as magic. Desired to show Louis his resolve in a drag naturally when he tells Louis who killed Tim of how the request of he could show up in the duel against him when he has nothing more for the person which he admired, most to be there to see how he lived, or at every least to see if he dies or lived, or in dismay. Louis refuses. In spite of that, Legoshi takes his leave, but without telling Louis when and where. However, these words would stick with Louis if he decides to quit the Leo group of his decision, in order to be on Legoshi's side. When the two carnivores prepare throwdowns, Louis has Ibiki to take him to the side of the battle. When Ibiki escorts him there, he reflects on this time when Louis, as the head of the Leo group, when he's changed him, remembering as how this could have gone by pretty well. In the end, though, where he would free, how Ibuki has needed to close out his relationship with the young boss in the way, forcing Louis to shoot him or to be to be free, where it ends up shooting and killing him by keeping promise of he made these ties severe. Free tells Louis to never return to the dark market, or otherwise he'd be making in Ibuki's death a vain one by this time, of course, where he's waiting for the battle between beasts and who have this happens goes on, of how has things just going quite well. When Riz tries to take a break to tell him devouring and by this works, of course, Riz decides to the fight to the death needed to continue. Thankfully, when Louis shows up, distracting Riz long enough for Legoshi to hit him with a surprise attack when he hide with Louis for a bit longer during this time when he has the conversation with Louis has the conversation with Legoshi when they had to realize when Legoshi cannot win without eating meat, so Louis offers his leg, though he has the major conflict of how this happens. And that's how Legoshi's ready to have a conflict battle in the death match, where he was eating Louis' leg without expecting of how it's happening in the second season progresses, of how he's gotten very stronger with the long drawn out of the badass fight, with every single punch into the gut, where Legoshi wishing Riz a happy New Year, when he was having the conflict fight. But that wasn't long until Riz ends up in jail and Legoshi got a criminal record, so he has to quit school, as how the story progresses in Season 2 of Beastars as well. When Haru almost kinds of breaks up with Legoshi, if there's any dynamics in the relationship how you could find in this anime, if there wasn't a shining star in this one, but there's sure if there would. And overall, those are my major plot points in my opinion on Beastars Season 2. I mean, I thought the story was pretty good. It's very well written, though. I mean, this makes a better season than Maid Sama, in my opinion, though. Because, in my opinion, I like Beastars a lot better than Maid Sama, in my opinion. Because every character's in Beastars, they're all anthropomorphic, like animal characters, instead of human characters in any other anime. Of course, when there's overall training, when Legoshi always ends up eating meat, otherwise, if his relationship with Haru, even to smaller things, like the snake security guard, as you see in every episode of the second season of Beastars, as how, despite there's some few flaws as well, the music is good, though. It got some visuals of how there's some good top-notch of how what you find in Beastars, as how it goes as well. Yeah, the story was great. The animation is good. There's some bit of 3D animation parts as well. But the characters look like it's well drawn, though. Because I think it's well creative, though. Especially for Season 2 of Beastars as well. Yeah, but overall, I think I saw Beastars Season 2 when I first watched it. I really enjoyed it as my overall one as well, because this is a good anime, though. Because what I think of Beastars Season 2, I really enjoy it, because I think I like this a lot better than Maid-sama, in my opinion. Well, Maid-sama was in my opinion, because I'm not really big on tsuneres as well. But Beastars, on the other hand, the second season, I loved it, because you can't go wrong with Lego Shi fighting Riz, because I loved the fight scene in the conflict. Because I know there's some moments in there as well. And the enjoyment, if you have never seen Beastars Season 2, give it a watch, because I highly recommend you. My score for this anime, I'm going to give it a 10. Just a 10 out of 10, yeah. Because I have a score for this one, that's why. So that's my review on Beastars Season 2 for today's anime review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, here's what I'm going to say for this one. Well, because I'm here to do reviewing on every anime, like this one apparently as well. Because, well, why not? Because I wanted to do a review on Beastars Season 2, because I haven't thought of one until now, because although I have been reviewing a lot of my previous anime titles in the past, but they're all going to be re-reviewed on Anime Retrospect, as well as the other anime titles that I have not reviewed. They're all going to Anime Retrospect anyway, because I just started my Anime Retrospect series, though. But what do I think of Beastars on the other hand? Season 2, on the other hand? I loved it, because you can't go wrong with it as well. Sorry about the camera. Is that better? Oh, sorry. Huh, what's wrong with this camera? Is that better? Oh, yeah. What I think of Beastars Season 2? I loved it, because there's a lot of enjoyment, though. Because I know there's some gory, the badass fight between Lego Shi and Riz as well. And the most scene that is messed up was where Lego Shi punches Louis when he mentions about Haru as well. Especially if you watch Season 2 of Beastars. I mean, it's been a while since I watched Beastars Season 2 when it's on YouTube. When it's like almost like 3 or 4 hours. 3 or 4.5 hours when it's on YouTube. Like full complete episodes when they were on YouTube, though. Whether it's in its own way as well. Because it has its moments, though, as well. Because this is how you want to binge watch on something like Season 2 of Beastars. I highly recommend you if you can watch it on Netflix. But I had to watch it in its original Japanese when it's on YouTube back in February, January or February, which I think I remembered it as well. So that's going to be for my anime review on Beastars Season 2 for today, guys. And for today's anime review. Thank you for watching, but before we go, this is the first time I wanted to do a review on Beastars Season 2, because one of these days I will get to revisit Beastars at one point for Anime Retrospect for the most part as well. Yeah. One of these days I will revisit Beastars someday on Anime Retrospect, which is going to be a lot more for this as well. Hope subscribe for content on my Anime Planet, link in the description down below. If you share this video on your Twitter, Facebook, if you have a Twitter, Facebook account, on all social media, smack the like button if you enjoy this video. Feel free to leave in the comments section below about your thoughts on Beastars Season 2 by leaving in the comment section below as well. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, RuRoniK95. Feel free to join my channel, especially if you're new to my channel as a newcomer. Smack the notifications bell button. Be sure to get notified as well. Keep it otaku for this anime review, because one of these days I will revisit Beastars on Anime Retrospect for the most part as well. This is RuRoniK95 saying thank you for watching my video, and I'm glad you liked it. I hope you enjoy it. Hope to see you soon for the next video. Hope you have a great day. This is RuRoniK95 signing off. Thank you for watching my video, and I will see you soon for more videos, because my anime reviews are now going to Anime Retrospect.